As you continue on, you will be tossed into the Conquest seasons, Conquest P1 Phase 1, and then Conquest P2 Phase 2, etc. What this means is that you are now placed in the Conquest battle group, where all Conquest servers are. It means that migration to every single server in the game is now possible, and it also means that you are going to be matched against more powerful servers. You can be matched against any of the old servers as well as the biggest servers in the game. For rewards in Conquest P1, the cold currency shop still has Sniper, Stormeye, Spell Disintegrator, but now also Wind Rage ability stones. As for the Ancient Remnant loot boxes, we've got all the stuff we used to have, but also, of course, Wind Rage, the new ability in shop, as well as Berserker ability stones. For Immortals, we are unlocking Louis, as well as Toyotomi. Toyotomi, the Wind Immortal I spoke of before, more on that later. For these new Tower of Knowledge skills, the new one we had was Wind Rage in the shop. Wind Rage is a highly valued skill for many setups, and in certain setups it can provide quite ridiculous value. For instance, running a well-crafted Alex build, Alexander the Great build, you can get very high value from this passive. Stacking it in an attack speed build works extremely well, and stacking it with other stuff that relies on normal attack damage, as for instance trigger conditions. Think back to my guide on passive skills and triggered skills. You have skills like combo, cleave, heavily thunder that trigger off of normal attacks, and this is just gonna be massive for that. As for our ancient chests reward, we've got Berserker available. Berserker is the by far the most nerfed skill of any in Infinity Kingdom. Since the skill was originally released, or well, at least the numbers were, it wasn't actually out by then. It wasn't available, but the text was in. Since then, it has been nerfed 3-4 times, and by massive amounts. However, it does still remain a quite powerful passive, which in certain situations will provide very high value. It should be used on an immortal with unique artifact effects, making their ability into a passive, because you are losing the ability to, you're not going to really regen energy fast enough to make any value out of your ultimates unless they are made into passives. So for instance, an Alexander or a Hannibal Barker is going to have high value from this one. For another note you should see is that no longer activates any trigger type skills, so you can't really stack this with Wind Rage and combo, for instance. But what you can do is stack it with just plain damage, and it's something that I'm looking forward to be doing for my Hannibal Barker in my Wind Earth hybrid when I eventually get this skill a couple seasons ahead, because it takes ages since it's in Ancient Remnant boxes. But excited. For the Immortals, we're getting Louis. Louis is a quite decent immortal. It's a fine addition to the Lightning roster and a pretty interesting immortal. It's the only frontline damage immortal that actually deals magic damage, which means that you can get some value out of those magic passives that you may not be using. If you are running physical heavy like most in the current meta is, then you have 1 or 2 mages across all of your 3 marches, which provides problem, which gives you a problem of actually using magic passives. Well, Louis can help solve that. Furthermore, he's really great paired with Hammurabi, which means that for a second or a third you can now do a double mage lightning and still have Khan in there for wounds. He deals solid damage and is certainly better than Richard. But if you do not have the Spearman technology, he can also be an excellent replacement for Peter. That is how I'm using it, because I don't have any Spearman tech. I'm not using spears for anything, so I had a problem running lightning since I would be relying on Peter's spearmen. But with Louis, you kind of get over that hurdle and can use cavalry. The second immortal is also a quite big release. It's Toyotomi. He's probably the most underrated immortal of all time. At least one of them. He's excellent, although not many players actually realize it. But he is amazing for wind physical counter setups. You know, you can do some awesome builds with this guy. He completes the dodge build for wind, and as you will now be able to run Atalanta, Kin, Barca, and Toyotomi. This composition is very powerful against physical setup because you can stack dodge to quite insane degrees with misleading after image, stuff like that. And in the current meta, which is physically dominated by physical setups, then this is quite amazing. Just be aware that dodge is terrible, or well, it has absolutely no effect against magic setups. So if you are fighting a lot of Merlin Waters or Dual Mage Fires, that kind of thing, this build is not very good. But for fighting Earths and especially Holies, then this build works very, very well. For King of the Hill progression, like I said, Season 3 ended the King of the Hill roster, completed the roster, so you are not going to get any more Immortals unlocked with Conquest. As always, please do subscribe to the channel. I consistently release new content here on the IK channel and on the official IK Wiki website. Links are in the description. On these channels you can find guides from everything in IK, from events to talents, passives, finished builds and game mechanics. With that, I'm gonna leave you, and as always, thank you for watching and see you for the next one.